So now you can able to see that you have a block which is having 5 kg and it is resting on a smooth plane. So they have to identify what is the unstretched length of this plane, right? It is given like this, right? So which one you will consider as a free body diagram? You have to consider the block as the free body diagram. Okay. So if I consider this block, so the weight is acting downward, which is acting like this, 5 kg. And of course, this block is having two contacts. One is with respect to the floor, so which means you will have a reaction here perpendicular to this surface, right? A reaction perpendicular to the surface. And you also have a spring, which means you will have a tension here, a tensile type of force, which is acting like this, T, right? So these are the three forces which is be acting on this particular block, right? So let us identify, let us draw what will be the free body diagram for this separately, right? So when I draw it here, so you can able to see that this is my block, right? So this block is having weight, which is acting downward, which is 5, multiplied with 9.81, because 5 is in kilogram, we have to convert it to Newton. So which means I have to multiply with 9.81, right? Then you have a reaction, right? A reaction like this, R. Okay. So this reaction is vertically 45 degree, because we can able to see that the inclination is 45 degree with respect to horizontal. In that case, perpendicular to that, your reaction will be 45 degree with respect to vertical. If this is x-axis, this will be y-axis, right? And then you have another force which is acting like this, right? So T, right? What is the angle of T? What is the angle of T? So you know that you have a line here. So let me consider. So if I consider here, there is a line. I'm going to draw this line like this. Okay. So considering this, so it is like, so this is the part, whereas this angle I have to identify first. So which is 0.4 and 0.3, right? Which is 0.4 and 0.3.
So that
Right?
angle will be 37, sir.
So you calculated this, right?
Yes, sir.
Actually, theta, yes. Theta is tan inverse of 0.3 by 0.4. What you are getting? What is this angle? Theta. So let me write it as 36.86 degree, right? So that angle is only up to this. This is 36.86 degree. But if we consider with respect to horizontal, I have to add with 45 degree, right? So which means if I want to identify what is this angle with respect to horizontal, right? So horizontal angle is, so your 45 plus 36.86 degree, right? What is the total angle you are getting? So this is 36.86 plus 45 degree, right? What is the total angle you are getting?
81.86, sir.
We are getting 81.86 degree, right? So now we identified what are the reactions with respect to horizontal or with respect to vertical, right? So the next step, what we are going to do is we have to draw our force diagram, right? And we go for force diagram. We proceed with force diagram, right? For the force diagram, let us consider an axis with respect to that. Now, so we'll write one by one. So before that, as I told you, you have to put plus sign, right? You have to put plus sign wherever you have that starting force. So this is my starting location. I will put plus here. This is my starting location. I will put plus here. This is my starting location. I will put plus here. So to identify the quadrant, so that will be easy. right? It is not that you have to do it regularly. If you understand the concept, you no need to put that. Okay, if you understand which quadrant it is, you no need to put that. So this means it is going vertically downwards. So 5 into 9.81. What is the value of 5 into 9.81? We're getting 49.05 Newton, right? Very good. Next. So this force, it is in second quadrant and angle is 45 degree with respect to vertical, right? So I have R here. This R is 45 degree with respect to vertical, right? With respect to y-axis, right? Another, so this comes under first quadrant, T, which is 81.86 degree. So you have T here, right? And this T is 81.86 degree with respect to horizontal, right? So I have this three forces, right? I have this three forces to identify. So my aim is to identify the unstretched length, right? It means it deals with a T. So I need what is the force exerted on that spring, right? I have to concentrate only on that part. Okay, if you do that, that is enough, right? But anyway, so since we have something like this, you can go for Lami's theorem and you can solve this problem, right? But in the time, I'm not going for Lami's theorem, right? Instead, let me solve this by using our regular principle, that is sigma fx is equal to 0, sigma fy is equal to 0. உங்களுக்கு டவுட் வரும் ஸோ ஏன் மூணு இருந்தா எப்பயுமே லாமிஸ் தியரமே போனோமா அப்படின்னா அப்படிலாம் கிடையாது. ஸோ இட் இஸ் அப் டு யூ. யூ கேன் ஆல்சோ சால்வ் பை அவர் யூஸ்வல் ப்ரொசீஜர் by converting everything to x-axis and equating to 0, and similarly by converting everything to y-axis and equating to 0. So adhikaga, so for that change, I am going to do that like that. I say that it is in equilibrium phase, so I can say that sigma fx is equal to 0. So let me say, identify what is my sigma fx, right? So x, so you have t, bring this t to x-axis, where angle is decreasing.
T cos.
Yeah, you are getting T cos 81.86 positive because it is in first quadrant. And you look here, when you bring it to this, your 45 degree is increasing, which means it has to be sine. So bring it to x. So you get minus. Why I put minus? Because it is opposite direction. So minus r sine 45 degree is equal to 0. Right? Otherwise, I can be able to write as T is equal to R sine 45 degree divided by cos 81.86 degree. Right now, sigma Fy is equal to 0. Let me equate it to sigma Fy and equate it to 0. So what you'll get? Right? So you will get something like this. Bringing this T to y-axis, positive. So angle is increasing. So T sine 81.86. Bring this to y-axis. Your angle is decreasing now. Plus R cos 45 degree. This one is minus 49.05. This is equal to 0. Right? So which means I will get a relation. So I will get T sine 81.86 plus R cos 45 is equal to 49.05. This is my equation 2. Let me substitute 2 in 1. If you substitute 2 in 1, what you'll get? You'll get T sine 81.86, right? So plus R is nothing but, okay, sorry, I have done in a different way, right? I want R actually, right, is to make it to T. In that case, I will write it here, right, where R will be T cos 81.86 divided by sine 45, right? So just find out what is your R. Substitute, change this R in terms of T. Right? When you do that, what you'll get? You'll get T cos 81.86 divided by sin 45 into cos 45 is equal to 49.05, right? You know that both are same. I can cancel this too, right? Now, what will be the value of t? What is t? So t is sin 81.86 plus cos 81.86 is equal to 49.05. So what is the value of t? Just substitute in a calculator, find out what is the value of your t. It is 43.36, right? So everyone getting the same answer? Yes, Newton, right? This is the maximum force. That is the force which is acting on your spring. Right? That is the force which is acting on your spring, right? Now you can able to see again. I am looking after the spring. The spring you can able to see that this is a right angled triangle. Again, it's a right angled triangle. You have 0.3 and 0.4. In that case, you know what is this length of the spring?
0.5.
So, yeah, it is root of 0.3 square plus 0.4 square. Just for remembrance, I'm writing. So length of spring, I'm identifying. So length of spring is nothing but root of 0.3 square plus 0.4 square. You will get 0.5, right? This 0.5 is nothing but your stretched length. Sorry, right? So stretched length. So that is 0.5 meter. I think it is in meter, right? Yeah, everything is in meter. So that is 0.5 meter. Okay, right. Let us have this like this. So now you know what is the stiffness of the spring. So we use that formula. We know that stiffness, right? We know that stiffness K is equal to force divided by del. Del is nothing but stretched length minus unstretched length, right? That is the value of your del. Okay, so now let us identify what is the value of del now, because we know what is T and what is K. Both are known. So T is 43.36 and your K, if I consider K, so K is 200. So it is mentioned as 200. So it is 200, right? What is your del? We're getting 0.21, right? So this 0.21 meter is nothing but stretched minus unstretched. So stretched length minus unstretched length, right? Unstretched length. So this is nothing but 0.21. So I want to unstretched length, right? Then unstretched length is nothing but, so just move this on the other side. It is 0.5 minus 0.21, right? So what is the value? So you are getting 0.29 meter. So that is the answer, right? Any doubt to this? Now we are going to discuss problems related to component in space. Whenever they specify something called a space, it means it is in 3D. What do you mean by 3D? 3D means you have x-axis, you have y-axis, and also z-axis, right? So you have three axes, which means it is also, we can also say that it is a non-coplanar concurrent forces. This is a problem related to non-coplanar concurrent forces, right? So whenever your forces is in three dimensions, it is in x-axis, y-axis, or also in z-axis, then we use this type of approach. Okay, so we have three axes. So the best way to identify this approach is to find out through vector approach, right? The best approach is finding out through vector approach. right? So which means whenever I say it is a vector, I'll be telling in terms of I vector, j vector, and k vector, right? So I'll be putting something like this, indicating that. So your components, whatever it is in terms of I, j, and k. So this I indicates your x-axis, j indicates your y-axis, and k indicates your z-axis. Okay, right. So what you are going to do, you are going to convert all the forces in terms of force vectors, right? How to do that? It is just like what we have done in our resolution, right? Or when you resolve the force, right? What you will do, you will be resolving in terms of x-axis and y-axis, right? So whatever the component in x-axis, that will be your I term. Whatever component in y-axis, that will be in your j term, right? You have to split it like that. Okay. So, and of course, it also satisfies equilibrium. So for 2-dimension, I can say that sigma fx is 0 and sigma fy is 0. Here it is 3D, right? So that means you have sigma fz also, which means I can say that your system is in equilibrium when sigma fx, sigma fy, and sigma fz are 0, right? That is one point, right, to identify these things, right? So the next one, so let me consider this one. So our usual 2-dimensional figure, right? So what we will do, you will always identify this force F. What you will do, I will bring it to x-axis. When I bring to x-axis, as I told you, this is theta x. Your angle is decreasing. I will put cos, right? So I will write it as fx is equal to f cos theta x. I'll write it like this. Whereas if I consider fy, I will consider as f sine theta x. That is what I will consider, right? Now, so I don't want these two terms. I don't want cos theta separately and sine theta separately, right? I want everything in terms of cos theta, right? In that case, what I can do, I can consider this as theta y, right? A separate another. I am giving another, finding out another angle theta y, where theta y is nothing but 90 minus theta x. Okay, so now if I bring my force to y, even though your theta x is increasing, if we consider theta y, your theta y is decreasing. So in that case, I can convert it. I can say that fy is nothing but f cos theta y, right? So f cos theta y, right? So this is one way of approaching it. So when you write it, you will be writing like this. So f vector is equal to fx I vector plus fy j vector. When you write, right, so it will be like this. F vector is equal to f cos theta x I vector plus f cos theta y j vector. So this term is indicating fx. Whatever the term in j vector is indicating fy, right? So this is how you have to identify. So when I put sigma fx is 0, I have to add all your I components if you have 5 or 6 forces, and I can equate it to 0. Similarly, if you have sigma fy is equal to 0, add all your j components and equate it to 0, right? So this one I can also write it in terms of unit vectors. So unit vector is one which mention the direction, right? This is the identification of direction, right? So always we consider unit vector in lambda. So lambda I or whatever it is, lambda OA. OA means of course is moving from O to A, right? So whatever we indicate everything in terms of unit vectors, which is nothing but I vectors and j vectors. Of course, k vectors also, right? So this is one way of solving this problem, right? Hope you know how to take dot product, right? In vector. So if you have two
Yes, sir.
vector, A vector and B vector, so A dot B. So you will get a scalar value. It's a scalar quantity, right? So it's a scalar quantity or scalar value. So only if you take a cross product, you will have a vector quantity, right? Anyway, so you are not going to consider that much thing. I'm telling you simply, right? So let me consider you have a force like this, which is having theta, right? So why we use this vector approach? So for that, I'm going to explain here. Let me consider you can able to see this is a box, a three-dimensional box. One corner is O, the other opposite corner is A. So let me draw a line that is your force. If I consider this as angle theta x, to resolve this, right? Usually in 2D we will be resolving into fx and fy. Whereas here I have to resolve in terms of fx, fy, and fz, right? So you feel some difficulty in finding out what will be the angle with respect to that. Okay, so this is theta x, theta y will be something like this, and theta z will be something like this. It is very, very difficult to find out the particular angle or orientation of your force. So in that case, what you will do, it is difficult to find out whether it will be a cos theta or sin theta, how to find the angles and other things, right? So this helps, the vector approach helps in this way so that you can convert everything in terms of I and j, and you can you will easily identify whatever the values. Directly you will get. No need to worry about its signs and all. So automatically you will get a negative sign indicating it is a negative or opposite directions, right? That is the main purpose, right? So this is for theta y and it is for theta z. So when I bring it, so everything is in terms of cos, right? Because everything I am relating in terms of cos, because it is difficult when I say sine, right? Because it's confusing. So if theta x is sine angle with respect to x-axis, what will be theta y with respect to x or theta z with respect to x? So it will be very much confusing. So we will identify everything in terms of this, right? And we consider that you have a vector. So there are 2 points in a force, right? One is m, which is x1, y1, z1, and n, which is x2, y2, and z2, right? These are the two forces which is connecting, right? So if I want to identify, right, if I want to identify what will be its angle or what will be its vector value, right? First thing is I have to find out what is the direction of this, or I have to concentrate on unit vector, right? What is the unit vector from m to n, right? If you identify that, then you can easily find out what will be the force, right? And easily we can resolve it, right, in terms of that. Okay, right. So to identify that, I need a vector which is called as position vector. புது டேர்மா இருக்கும், கன்ஃபியூஸ் ஆயிடாதீங்க, இது ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை. ஸோ ப்ராப்ளம் சால்வ் பண்ணும்போது you will be very, very clear, right? Position vector. So position vector எப்படி நாம் மீன் பண்ணுவோம்னா, small r related with the direction. So m, n, yeah, small r related with m and n, right? So the position vector is used to identify by using two coordinate systems. For example, இப்போ நான் வந்து இந்த m, n க்கு position vector identify பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா what happens? I am going to subtract your n coordinate system with m coordinate system, right? Which means x2 minus x1 I vector, y2 minus y1 j vector, and z2 minus z1 k vector, right? This is my position vector, right? So position vector is identifying what will be the particular distance between the two location of your force, right? It is nothing but x2 minus x1 I vector, y2 minus y1 j vector, and z2 minus z1 k vector, right? So this indicates the position of your vector. Okay, right. So once you get the position, so I got position vector m1, which is equal to x2 minus x1 I vector and other things. Now my aim is to identify my unit vector, right? Your unit vector lambda m1 is always equal to any position vector divided by its modulus, right? Which means, so if I identify, right, if I identify m1 is nothing but vector of this divided by modulus of m1. What is this modulus of m1? What is modulus of this? Right? So how to take modulus of this one? It's nothing but x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square plus z2 minus z1 the whole square. Or I can simply say that your modulus is nothing but root of dx square plus dy square plus dz square. This is my modulus. Okay. So once I got my modulus, divide with respect to the modulus, you will get what is the unit vector, right? So after you get the unit vector, multiply with the magnitude of the unit force. For example, if I say that this force O to A, this is having 50 Newton, multiply this 50 here, multiply this 50 here. So 50 into your lambda m1 will give you your force vector. So this force vector will be in terms of I, J and K. So whatever term in I is Fx, whatever term in J is Fy, and whatever term in K is Fz. Right? So this is how you have to identify your forces. Once you identify this, then it is easy. You can say that sigma Fx is 0. You can add all the forces and you can equate it. Okay. Okay. Let us solve by means of a problem. Right. So before going to the problem, you may have a lot of confusion in identifying your coordinate system. Right. So this particular slides will be helping you to find out, to locate or to identify the coordinate points in each locations. Right? Let me consider here. Right? I am going to consider this point as O. O indicates that it is the coordinate point, center point. Right? It is your coordinate point. Now I can consider one direction as X, one direction as Y, and one direction as Z. Right? So I have given three different colors, right? So R, G, B. So R is always X direction, G is always, sorry, Y direction, and this is Z direction. Right? Now, what will be the coordinate points? Right? So let me look one by one. Can you judge what will be the coordinate point for A? O is 0, 0. Okay. A is, look here. From here, your A is -4. Downward direction. Upward the positive, -4. அப்போ வந்து Y வந்து -4. X பாருங்க, X வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா 1 meter. ரைட்டா? So இந்த லைன் வந்து எதுக்கு போட்டிருக்கா? ஸ்ட்ரெயிட்டா இருக்குன்னு அர்த்தம். Right? X is 1, Y is 4. What about Z? Z எதுவுமே கிடையாது. There is no values with respect to Z. So it is 0. Can you judge me what will be the value for B? B க்கும் ஏதாவது X coordinateல ஏதாவது force இருக்கா? இதான் வந்து 0. O. O க்கும் B க்கும் X value ஏதாவது இருக்கா? Yes.
No, sir.
X value? No. அப்போ வந்து X வந்து 0. இப்போ Y க்கு வருங்க. Y க்கு ஏதாவது இருக்கா? Y value. So இந்த ஃபோர்ஸுக்கு, ஸோ அதாவது இந்த டைரக்ஷனுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி டைமென்ஷன்ஸ் ஏதாவது இருக்கா? இல்ல. ஒய்க்கும் இல்ல. அப்ப அதுவும் 0. இசட்டுக்கு இருக்கா? இருக்கு. எவ்வளவு இருக்கு? இருக்கு. ரைட்டா? பாசிட்டிவ் 3. ரைட்டா? இதுதான் பாசிட்டிவ் 3. அப்ப 3. அப்ப my coordinate point is 0, 0, 3. Tக்கு பார்க்கணும் அதே மாதிரி. C. C வந்து x க்கு distance இல்ல, so that is 0. Y க்கு distance இல்ல, right? Z க்கு 3 இருக்கு, -3, right? ஏன்னா opposite direction. So அப்ப C யோட coordinate வந்து 0, 0, -3. D க்கு பார்க்கலாம். What about D? X க்கு, what is your X distance? X dimension ஏதாவது இருக்கா? D to O. Yes, ரெண்டு இருக்கு. இது ரெண்டுத்தையும் ஆட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஸோ டோட்டலாக எவ்வளோ? 4. Y டைரக்ஷன் நோ, ரைட்? ஸோ இது நினச்சிக்கோ, மேலே ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டேன், மேலே வந்து 0ன்னு சொல்லிட்டேன், கீழே வந்து ஹேங் ஆகிறது 4ன்னு சொல்லிட்டேன். அப்போ இந்த இந்த இது எல்லாமே வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 0 தான் இருக்கும். Y இசட் டைமென்ஷனும் இல்லை, அப்போ 0. ஸோ இதுதான் D. I think, G is 0, 0, 0. Right? In that case, what is your A? So let me consider this as x-axis. This is my y-axis, right? And this one is z-axis. Okay. So what is the location of A? X. So 1200 இருக்கா? X 1200 distance, right? அப்போ வந்து A வந்து மைனஸ், இதுதான் பாசிட்டிவ்னா இங்க -1200. Y கிடையாது, 0. Z பாசிட்டிவ் செட்ல ஒரு 1200 இருக்கு. So it is -1200, 0, 1200. Right? Read out on this.
No, sir.
Now, okay, go for B. Identify for B. X is 1200, right? So this is 1200. Y 0. Z another 1200. So 1200, 0, 1200. T. X, no distance in X, straight இருக்கு. So C ஓட distance is 0. So C க்கு வந்து X distance 0, Y distance 0. Z வந்து -1200, right, in the opposite side. So that is my value. D, I consider D. So இது ஸ்ட்ரைட்டா இருக்கு, கோஆர்டினேட்டுக்கு ஸ்ட்ரைட்டா இருக்கு. அப்படின்னா வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா இதுல வந்து என்ன இருக்கும்? X ஓட distance இல்ல, 0. Y வந்து 2400. Z ஓட distance இல்ல, 0. So it is 0, 0, 2400. Okay, sorry, அது போயிடுச்சு. Right, that is the value. Right? Okay.